This episode of the Flush Podcast is brought to you by North Dakota Tourism. Start planning your next hunting adventure in North Dakota at legendarynd.com, and by Onyx Hunt, the #1 GPS hunting map app. Onyx, know where you stand. Today I'm talking with a friend of mine named Tony Jones. Tony is an avid bird hunter that just returned from the pheasant fields of South Dakota. He's also on a lifelong mission to help others find meaning through the great outdoors. Hence his nickname, the Reverend Hunter. Welcome to another episode of the Flush Podcast. I'm Travis Frank. I'm your host. Brandon Morton is our producer. Brandon and I both know our guest today very well. Tony Jones is his name. He hosts another podcast that Brandon and our company produces called the Reverend Hunter Podcast. Tony, welcome to our podcast, the Flush Podcast. Thanks for taking the time today.
Oh, Travis, it's great to be on a sister podcast and also a podcast that I regularly listen to. So thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate it. I've been wanting to have you on the show for quite a while. We have a lot to talk about today on your journey, the pheasant hunt you just returned from. But first, you took Brandon on his very first hunt last week. How did it go?
Well, let me tell you, Trav. I texted you and Scott, and both, TV star pheasant hunters, and said, I'm taking our podcast producer out on his first ever pheasant hunt. You guys should come along. And Scott was like, I'm in Montana, whatever. I can't go. You said, yeah, I'll go. That sounds awesome. So I'm like, okay, I've seen Travis's TV show. He always shoots pheasants. We should have no problem. Then the next day you're like, you guys, so sorry. I actually can't make it. Good luck. Catch you next time. Mm-hmm. So we went out. We hit probably 4 plots of public land in western Minnesota out near around Hutchinson. And we saw 2 roosters from a distance. And that was it.
Is that your story too, Brandon?
That's the story. Saw one of them running across the road and then one flying while we were inside the car. So
what? So you didn't even get to see them while walking?
No, man. We didn't flush a single bird. We were out there. We had 4 guys, 2 of them first-time pheasant hunters. Brandon was one of them, and another guy. And then my neighbor was running his Draktar, and I guess my son Aiden was with us. There were 5 guys, 2 dogs, and man, we hit land. I was listening to your podcast, Travis, with Bob St. Pierre about all the great public land, hunts in Minnesota, and I watch the Rooster Road Trip every day when they release the video, and I just can't find those public land Minnesota birds, man. That's why you have to come out with us.
I know. I felt terrible, but here's the deal. I was a Sunday, and I
you have little kids.
Been on the road for 4 weeks, and I know I'm making excuses now, but I had talked to my kids, and they had certain things that they've been really wanting to do, and this was one of those days I had available. And I said, I have to spend it with my kids. And so I'd like
to say you made the right choice being with your own kids rather than Brandon. I just can't bring myself to tell you that because I can't let you off the hook because I need you hooked so you can take us out to the super secret public land in Minnesota where we can find all the roosters. Here's what I think. I mean, look, I think it was a great experience. Brandon, I'd love to hear what you think. But first of all, Travis, as you know, you don't get birds every day. And part of hunting, no matter the species, is you come home empty-handed and you learn, I think, how to enjoy the spirit of the hunt in spite of the harvest, right? And we saw a beautiful country. It was we got to watch dogs work. It was tough, Brandon. It was a tough day there was still snow on the ground then, and we were pushing through some heavy cover.
Yeah, the experience was awesome for me. I actually did have a really good time walking through the fields. It was a blast seeing dogs do their work. I've heard so many people talk about it on all these outdoor programs that I produce for, and it was just really amazing to see how smart they are and how just the different things that they do. The one dog, Gus, it was just really interesting to see him just stay on a point if he thought he scented, something, and just stayed there until he was told to make the next move. I've never seen anything like that before, so it was cool.
Brandon, what was going through your mind when that dog went on point? That's what I want to know. What were you thinking?
In all honesty, since I've only shot guns once, I was thinking of like, all right, where's the guy next to me? That's first things first. Make sure he's not in that 45 degree bit angle, of where I could be shooting. And then I was waiting for the call. I was hoping to see a bird flush up and we could all just go for it. I don't know. It was kind of exciting. It was really cool to see. It was a false alarm, but it was still really cool to see.
Was your heart pumping a little bit with excitement, like of the unknown or unexpected?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I didn't know how it would feel if I even got to fire a shot at a living animal, let alone hitting one. So it was just exciting. It was that moment, like, it's such a calm time just walking through fields, you're just keeping your eye out for things, and bam, the dog points, and it gets your blood going a little bit.
So how many dogs did you guys have out in the field, Tony?
We had two. We had a Drokhtar and my lab.
Okay. Gotcha. Brandon, do you have any pets or any dogs?
Yeah, I've got a 13-year-old mutt that I've had for, I think, 12 years now.
I mean, just to see them running out there, did it kind of was it an interesting view for you to potentially say like, man, I wish my dog would do that, or maybe if I get another dog, would I want to see them out there in the field?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my dog is getting old or whatever, but he's still spunky. He loves to chase around squirrels and rabbits and that sort of thing. But no, it has made me think more about a future dog and what they could do. And then just seeing the two different types of dogs too is really kind of, I don't know, it's very interesting. They both have their different ways of doing things, and that's cool.
Nice. Well, I would like to commit to being a part of the next hunt, because after talking with Bob, I have also been to some of these Western Minnesota public land places, and I've seen the bird numbers that he was referencing. So I do know where we can go, and I believe we'll see birds while we are walking, not necessarily driving. And I wanted to make that happen, because then once you bring it full circle, like you get that bird and then you get to bring it home. I don't know what it is about it. I've lived it my whole life, so I don't really know how to explain it very well, but there's just something rewarding about that. When you bring that bird or that animal home after the hunt, that just kind of like it completes it, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I've even now officially gotten into watching videos about people doing some hunting and how you take care of the bird afterwards. So my interest is definitely is with it right now.
Ah, nice. Well, I'll say this, because I know a lot of people always say, well, if you're going to bring somebody hunting for the first time, take them to a game farm so that it's instant gratification. I don't know. I mean, Tony, you might have an opinion on this too, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because like you said, there's an appreciation for the hunt that happens when you fail and you go out there and you try and you don't get it. Made me want it even more. My first time pheasant hunting, the dog ran 500-600 yards away, and we spent most of the day chasing it, yelling, trying to get it to come back, flush some birds a long ways away. But yet I was intrigued enough that I wanted to do it again. And I don't know if I would have felt the same way if I would have walked and flushed birds that were, essentially planted in the grass in front of me. I think that'd have been more like shooting and less hunting. Your thoughts, Tony?
Yeah, I do agree. And I think the older I get, the less interested I am in game farm hunting. That is how I was introduced to hunting. Like when I was 15 or 16, my uncle took me to the Horse and Hunt Club south of the Twin Cities. And, I think it's different with Brandon. When you're taking out an adult, they have, I think, a first-time hunter who's an adult, they have a much better way to kind of, they're more circumspect about it, and they can contextualize it and realize like, yeah, we don't know if there are birds in this field. Like that's the point of the hunt. You go out there and you know, and I'm saying things like, oh man, look at all the corn that's still out in that field. And then Brandon's like, well, what's that about? And, you know, we're like, well, that's where the pheasants are during the day. They're in that cornfield eating corn. Once that corn's been harvested, this public land we're hunting right now is much more likely to have birds during the day. They probably roost here at night. Like I remember saying, you know, to Brandon and to Phil, the other first time hunter, man, if we were at this field at 5 p.m., there are probably birds coming in from that corn to roost for the night. This would be a great, you know, then you get to explain to a first time hunter the golden hour and what that's all about. You don't, you're not at the game farm explaining the golden hour. You know, right. The golden hour at a shooting preserve is 10 minutes after the guy threw the birds out there in the field for you. So yeah, it's a different deal. And I think, I'm super happy with what we had. And I think I actually did go out to some public land way further out western Minnesota, and we were like 3 miles from the South Dakota border, and we did see that's the one public spot I've hit this year so far where I saw a bunch of roosters and shot a few of them. So I know they're out there, and I'd love for you to join us. And the other thing is, I'll just say this. I mean, listeners will probably know this, but we went out on a Sunday to public land in Minnesota, like 2 weeks after the opener, a week after the opener. And we got out, to Western Minnesota around noon on Sunday. Well, every public spot we hit was full of human and dog tracks. These spots had been hit, and it's probably better to like pick a weekday. There are ways to play the public land game a little smarter than we did it probably.
Well, at the end of the day, you took two people hunting that had never gone hunting before, and Brandon, has interests that he has never had before just because you took the time and gave them the opportunity. And I think that's what most hunters in America are lacking, or if they're not out there or interested in hunting, it's because they just don't have the opportunity, or they don't have somebody that has at least sent the invitation to come along. And then from there, it just kind of will evolve. So it'll be interesting to kind of keep in touch with you on this, Brandon. And I'm sure we'll talk plenty more off the air about it as well. But I'm happy that you got to get out there. I'm proud of you, Tony, for doing it. I'm bummed. I'm bummed that I didn't get to join, if I'm being honest. So you guys are going to be talking more about this on your podcast. It's called the Reverend Hunter podcast. I know you guys have a date set to dive into, first time hunters. When are you going to talk about this on your show?
Yeah, my podcast comes out every other Monday, and then for the first and third Mondays of the month, and then whenever there's a fifth Monday in a month, it's kind of like the blue moon of podcasts or whatever. Whenever there's a fifth Monday, it's just Brandon and me talking, and we talk about what's been going on in life, where I've been, where he's been. We kind of talk about past shows, upcoming shows, and we also have been documenting Brandon's journey toward hunting, including coming up to my cabin and firing long guns for the first time, rifle and shotgun, and having that experience. So the next fifth Monday happens to be, November 30th, I think. It's like the Monday after Thanksgiving. So that will be the next time that Brandon and I have a full episode, just the two of us, and we'll be talking more about this.
Nice. Well, okay, so let's dig into your story now. So if somebody comes up to you, Tony, and says, "What do you do?" or why do you have the name the Reverend Hunter? What do you say to them?
I mean, the hard thing is what more people are like, are you going to get a job? What's your like, why would I get a job during hunting season? That's crazy. What do I do? I felt a call to ministry a Christian ministry in the church as early as 7th grade. And I pursued that call for a long time, all the way through from going to seminary right after college. I worked on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in southwestern South Dakota after that. And then I was a pastor at a church in the Twin Cities for 7 years. And then I went out east and got a PhD in theology. And since then, I've been teaching and writing books and, preaching around the country and really around the world and stuff like that. But also, as I've documented on my podcast, and you and I have talked about, and you were one of my first guests on my podcast, and I'm grateful for that and in hearing your story because, I think I titled that episode something you said, like I was as low as a person could be, and you really hit that. You really hit that super low point in your 20s, I believe. Mm-hmm. For me, it came in my 40s as I already had established a family and kids and bought a house and was doing all the things when my life really fell apart as a result of a divorce and a custody fight. And when you're in the church in ministry, that stuff, it sticks to you a little more than if I, was worked in management at Target or something, like people be like, oh, I'm sorry, your personal life's a mess, but it doesn't really affect you coming to work every day. But if you work in the church, it does affect, because there's just no real separation between personal and professional life when you're a pastor. So as well as my personal life blowing up, my professional life also blew up. And, I really found a great deal of comfort and solace in hunting, Travis. I during that time, like when I could get out hunting, it healed me. It healed my soul at really broken times. And so I just started to feel more and more drawn to that. And then as my life has stabilized and I got custody of my kids and I got remarried in an incredible, I'm just totally 100% blessed by my spouse and the marriage I'm in now. Just everything kind of leveled out, I was like, well, I'm trained in theology and spirituality, and I'm finding myself drawn to the outdoors, particularly hunting. How can I merge these two? I want to explore this more. Like, I'm interested in that intersection of meaning and spirituality and transcendence with the outdoors life. And so that's where the Reverend Hunter came in, back to a conversation you and I had at Leanne Chin, must have been over lunch. I suppose it was almost 3 years ago now,
Was it that long ago? Wow. Probably.
2.5 maybe. And so you've been part of that journey now, and Brandon has, and this podcast through Ron Share Productions and Talk North. And it's really been great to, how it is when you, Frederick Buechner was a Presbyterian pastor and one of my favorite writers, and wrote many books. And I'm going to paraphrase, I won't get it exactly right. He said your calling or your vocation is where your greatest joy, or your great joy, intersects with the world's great need. And I feel like that's what I found. My great joy is hunting and spirituality and theology. And the world's great need, I think, is finding meaning and getting outside and reconnecting with the environment, with the world around us.
I see a lot of people, and they'll even post it on social media. On Sunday, they'll post a photo of them hunting or fishing, and they'll say, "This is my church." Mm-hmm. And then you get, amen, amen. A lot of people will jump in and say, yeah, mine too. When you see that, what do you think?
Well, I embrace it. I think that organized religion is struggling. It's in decline, especially among generations younger than you and me. It's engagement in organized religion, no matter the religion, is dropping precipitously. It doesn't matter liberal, conservative, doesn't matter Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, whatever. It's our world is changing before our eyes, and so it doesn't surprise me, and I am not judgmental of people, because I do think there is a spiritual hunger or a desire people have for some kind of transcendence, for something bigger than themselves. And even if they have checked out of the church or any other, organized type of religion, institutional religion, I do think that they're going to look for that connection to the divine. And if they find it outdoors, well, I think part of, what I'm interested in, that's where I've found it. And I, want to help other people find it there.
Right. Well, I think for me personally too, I mean, just that time in that, that quiet space. If I'm sitting in my deer stand or something, I mean, you don't get any more quiet of a place to just think, sit, and that's where your mind starts to wonder about the bigger picture. A lot of times it has for me. When you're out there, you bring the Bible with you, Tony? I mean, what are you teaching from? I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. The Bible. I mean, I've spent so much time studying the Bible in my 52 years that this is going to sound odd to some listeners, but I've so internalized the Bible and its message that I don't spend a lot of time currently going back and reading the Bible, because I've been through it so many times. But it's just almost become a part of me. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm out there hunting and I'm, reading the Bible in the deer stand or in the truck between, or we're driving from one pheasant field to another pheasant field. It's more like I'm focusing on the way that I'm connected to the environment around me. So you guys you were talking with Brandon earlier about the animal, bringing the animal home, the harvested animal. And I mean, we can get into it. I just came back from South Dakota last night from a 4-day hunt for pheasants. And I woke up at 5 this morning, and I had, where I live the suburb I live in Edina. I can tell you that I'm the only guy in my block who had 9 pheasants hanging in a tree in my front yard overnight last night.
I bet. I know where you live.
Okay.
Did they talk to you about that, by the way?
Oh yeah, people know it. I mean, I'm outside, I'm butchering animals on the tailgate of my pickup truck in my driveway. And I mean, I live in like the most suburban spot you can imagine. Okay. It's like, it's split level ramblers built in 1964, and every house has a silver maple tree in the front yard. I mean, it's just like, it's suburbia America, right? And I'm out there butchering.
Well, today's
animals.
election day too, so there's probably signs in everybody's yard with somebody's name that they want to vote for, and then in your yard you've got 9 pheasants
just hanging from the tree, right? And the other thing that it is in my neighborhood is today's garbage collection day on Tuesday. So I get home from my hunt and I don't want to clean birds at night. I'm just like, I get home from that 5.5 hour drive and I'm just beat. I want to reconnect with my family and take a shower, and the last thing I want to do is clean birds. But I am an early riser, so I got up, made a pot of coffee, and I went outside and started cleaning pheasants. And also because it's garbage day, you want to get those pheasant guts in the garbage can and get them to take them away. You don't want them sitting there for a week. Yeah. So
time is right.
But for me, that's such a spiritual thing to clean the animal. Honestly, Travis, I don't know about for you or other people who are listening, but I love the hunt. The hunt is incredible. But like, you and I are both going deer hunting this weekend in northern. I'm going in central. You're going to northern Minnesota. It's firearms deer opener on Saturday. And when I start thinking ahead to this coming weekend, you know what I find myself thinking more about is breaking down the deer, butchering the deer, having the deer hang by the gambrels, taking it apart, roast by roast, finding, putting a bunch of meat in the grind pile, being out there with my son and my brothers. And it's the same this morning. It was a very solitary thing. I didn't put in earbuds to listen to a podcast. It was quiet. It's 5:30 in the morning. I'm on the back of my pickup truck, cleaning pheasants and just basically thanking God and thanking the universe for these birds, because they not only will feed my family, but they gave me a weekend that was so memorable. This last weekend I had it is one of those hunts that I will never forget. And so I'm just thankful to these birds for being a part of, the whole cycle, the cycle of predation that all of us who eat meat are a part of. And I want to be as deeply embedded in that and thoughtful about it and thankful for it as I can be.
Yeah, I took my boys up north to our deer camp. It's a deer camp / grouse camp. It's not mine; it's a friend of mine's, and I'm so thankful that I get to go up there. It's like heaven, and I can't wait to get back up there this weekend. But I took my boys up there, their first time going on a real hunt. So we've gone duck hunting, goose hunting, turkey hunting locally here by our place, and also deer hunting. They haven't gone pheasant hunting yet, but that's coming. But we were going to go grouse hunting. And so the one thing that I do before every hunt is we get ready just before we're going to walk out into the woods or into the field, wherever we're going. We just stop for a second and we say, okay, guys, let's say a prayer. And we say, God, thank you for making the deer so that we can go hunt them. Please help us to take a good shot. If we get it, please send the deer if you want us to have it. And may it be just a great hunt that we get to spend together. But thank you for giving us this chance to be here. And the boys are, I look at them, kind of just open my eyes and look at them, and they're praying too. And so then when we're out there in the woods and here comes the deer and I don't get a shot, and my son, Weston, looks at me, he goes, Dad, God answered our prayers. He sent the deer, and that's okay. We didn't get it. He still sent it. And I'm just like, you're right, buddy. And I just love that. I mean, that for me is so important to be able to share that with them, that, we have this opportunity to go out there and hunt for these animals that have been created. And, I just love having my kids there. For you, is it the game? I mean, I know you're a pastor, right? So you're out there, your life revolves around people. I mean, it's your mission is to serve people, isn't it?
Yeah. It's funny. I was like an extreme extrovert earlier in my life. I find myself as I get older becoming, I think, more introverted, more okay with being alone. But I also, I still love being around people. A big part of the joy of this weekend of pheasant hunting in South Dakota that I just had is the guys I was with. I mean, I could tell you about each of them. I know each of them intimately, and know about their lives and know about their struggles and know about their victories. The same goes for this coming weekend with our deer camp up at our family cabin. My brother's flying in from Oregon, and there's texts flying even this morning, like who's driving who and when are we leaving, and can we turn the water back on at the cabin, and who's buying the beer, and what are we going to have for dinner? It's everyone's so excited about spending time together. And Travis, I think it's not to just like blow smoke or whatever, but it's one of the things I love about your TV show, about your podcast. It's one of the things I love about all of Rancher Productions is like you take a guy like Brandon, or you take the other guy, Phil, the first time pheasant hunter. I think there's a lot of outdoors. I'm not just trying to be critical of outdoors media here, but I'm just saying there's a lot of outdoors media where it's like guys drop a big buck and they're high-fiving and they're like hooting and hollering and almost dancing on the grave of the animal, that I find really troubling and disrespectful. And I don't think that's the kind of thing that's going to engage a lot of new hunters. But I think those of us who are about the camaraderie and the storytelling, about the harvesting meat for our family, about being thankful to the animal and thankful to God for putting us in the middle of this creation where this is how it works. I think a lot of more people are going to be interested in that aspect of hunting and fishing, of getting into it for those reasons, of being more involved and engaged in the food we eat that sustains us, that keeps us alive, physically and spiritually. So that's a big part of it for me and the people around. I mean, there are some solitary hunts, right? I mean, you're sitting in a deer stand, you're all alone, but most of the hunting I do, yeah, you named it, is with other people, and it's with other people that I care about a lot. And I've met, that's how I became the Reverend Hunter, is I met people through hunting. And it was basically because at, about the lowest point in my life, I posted on my blog, I will preach anywhere for free in exchange for hunting. And I got an email a day later from the Episcopal priest in Huron, South Dakota. And she said, come on out and preach at my church and I'll hook you up with some guys who hunt. And
wow, that's awesome.
And I've been going out to Huron ever since. That's where I was yesterday, and I've been going out there for years now as a result. And, some of my best friends, one of my best friends, Jorge Vacuna, who is a guy who he's the guy that she set me up with to hunt. And we've hunted dozens of times together since and have become extraordinarily close friends. And he's supported me through hard times, and I've supported him as he's gone through throat cancer and treatment at the Mayo Clinic. And, it's a lot more than hunting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why do you want to help others? Why? I mean, you said early in life that you knew this was your calling. How do you know it's your calling, and why do you want to do it?
Oh man, if I go back to those early days, I wanted to do it because I looked at the pastors at my church and I saw what they did, and I felt like I could do that. I felt like that would be really fun. Look, I was in 7th grade, and the youth, my dad came home from work, Travis, every day, in his coat and tie, angry because something had gone wrong at work. He ate dinner, and then he went in his office, closed the door, and kept working. Like, he brought a briefcase home full of papers, and then he went in his office and kept working. And then my youth pastor, on the other hand, got to lead ski trips to Colorado, never wore a necktie, and spent the summer in shorts going to camp. And I thought, well, if you can get paid to do that, that's what I want to do. I want to be a youth pastor because those guys have a ton of fun, way more fun than it seemed like my dad was having in corporate America. It was like that early on, and I just fell into that, and I loved it, and I was good at it. And I did youth ministry for a long, long time, and really enjoyed it. I just loved watching. I still do, but I'm older now, and I'm not so hands-on in it anymore. Although I just finished teaching a confirmation class that was a year long and saw these kids get confirmed, including my youngest kid. I just love watching adolescents grow and mature and develop and kind of have these light bulb epiphany moments where they start to see things more clearly. And you're going to have it with your kids and hunting too. And I had a moment last year where I like watched my youngest kid get it while we were pheasant hunting. I watched something click in him. And it just to watch that happen is, I think, an extraordinary experience. And if I can help facilitate or catalyze those experiences for people, young or old, that I take great joy in that. And now, as that comes as much for me introducing people to hunting as it did when I was like a pastor in a church and standing in the pulpit and trying to connect with people that way.
Right. Well, and so my experience too, I mean, I volunteered at our church and with kids, and then also just taking people out in the outdoor world. That's my platform, hunting, excuse me, hunting and fishing, and to teach them and to, like, there's a certain, like you talk about the meaning of life, helping people find that meaning. When you serve others, I just believe God works through you in ways that just fulfill my own life by serving other people, helping other people. And that could be in the church, and in my case, and now in your case too, in the outdoor world, taking first-time hunters. I mean, you took Brandon, you took Phil. I have got like 5 other hunters this year that I'm working with. Their first time, bow and arrows this year, and now shotguns, and just we're going on the path together, right? It's just that investing in that other person. And I'm in a place in my life where I get to go and meet a lot of people, and I get to tell these stories and make TV shows, and what a blessing it is. But I can tell you that one-on-one experience with other people, that is so rich. And that time spent together out there in the field with these first-time hunters or other people that you got to spend time with this weekend, and your son, when the light turned on, I mean, that joy had to have been indescribable for you, right?
Oh yeah, my gosh, it's incredible. I can even tell you about it. We were hunting. It was last year Thanksgiving weekend. We went out to South Dakota and we were hunting some CRP west of Huron, South Dakota. And we're pushing. I mean, I can tell you, like, this is how vividly I remember it, Travis. I had both my dogs out there, my older dog, Albert, and my 1.5-year-old puppy, Crosby. And we're pushing north through this CRP, and I think there were 4 or 5 of us. And it was one of those days where it was snowing and the wind was whipping so hard. And these days, you could yell at a guy who's 20 yards from you and he could not hear what you're saying. It was that kind of thing. So you make the plan at the truck, and then you attack the field, and you can't switch up the plan halfway into the field because you can't communicate. It's just too it's too crazy out there. Well, Aiden, my son, who was 15 at the time, he kind of spun off from us and went further east to another little to another little slough. And I was mad because we had this plan to push through the CRP and the switchgrass, and he spins off and goes over to this slough, and I can't. And now he's like 150, 200 yards from me. There's no way I can communicate with him. I can barely see him through the snow. And all I can hear is these very distant, like, pop, and then pop a couple minutes later. I'm like, oh, and then, all these thoughts go through your head when you're hunting with your 15-year-old kid, like, oh my gosh, did he shoot himself? Did he shoot the dog? Did what's going on over there? You go down I go down the worst, like, vicious spiral of negative thinking of everything that could have gone wrong.
There was nothing positive going on up top.
I was so nervous. No, man. Oh my gosh. I was like, what happened? Well, we get to the end of our field, and we circle back to him, and we get back to him. and he climbs in the truck, and it's just freezing cold out, and you can't wait to get back in the truck, and you're shivering, your hands, your fingers are totally numb. You crank up the heater on the truck, and he is euphoric. And he tells me, he said, "Dad, I went to this patch of grass and Crosby got real birdy." This is a 1.5-year-old dog, first time on a legit hunt.
Uh-huh.
He stuck his nose down in there, a rooster flushed, and I shot it, and Crosby retrieved it to me.
Oh.
And then he stuck his nose back in the same grass. Another rooster flushed. I shot that one, and he retrieved it to me. And I had been so mad at him for not sticking to the plan, and like pushing through the switchgrass and going his own way and doing his own thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Aiden, that's incredible. So like he got it and the dog got it at the same time. And he's just totally bonded with that dog as a result of they had this shared experience where he'd been pheasant hunting before, but he never had that experience of like two roosters flush. He drops them both. The dog retrieves them both. It just was one of those perfect, really a spiritual moment for him, right? Where he understood what this whole thing is about. And then for me, of course, just like, this is incredible. So it was just, it's a moment I'll never forget.
Wow, that's spectacular. You just spent 3 days in South Dakota chasing pheasants, probably in that same area. And I want to hear about the bird numbers that you ran into. But first, North Dakota wants to remind you that their bird numbers are up. And if you don't trust me, just take a look at any of your friends' social media feeds right now that have been hunting in North Dakota. They probably have fistfuls of feathers in their photos. North Dakota's annual roadside counts look like this. Pheasants observed per 100 miles are up 38%. Sharptails are up 54%, and Hungarian partridge are up 45%. My personal experience in North Dakota this year is that those numbers are low, meaning that the bird numbers are probably higher than that. And with an estimated 4 million breeding ducks, up 18% this year, North Dakota's central region is prime habitat for both hunting waterfowl and upland birds. Plus, North Dakota has more than 700,000 acres of private land open to public walk-in hunting. For the latest plots guide, visit the North Dakota Game and Fish Department or legendarynd.com. I've been using Onyx maps now for several years, mainly because I hunt a lot of public lands in places that I've never hunted before. Onyx maps give me peace of mind knowing that I'm always standing on public ground or land that I have permission to be on, and I can check my location while I'm walking in the field. They also reveal places that I can hunt when I'm scouting. I turn on government layers in the state that I want to hunt, which essentially highlights lands that are open to the public. I start with a big picture view of the map, and then when I see these highlighted areas, I zoom in for a closer look. No more searching online for information or big, bulky atlas maps. With the Onyx app, everything I need to know is right at my fingertips everywhere I go, and that includes private landowner names in case I want to stop and ask for permission. Download the Onyx app right onto your smartphone and take it everywhere with you in the field. Onyx maps are the best tool for every hunter to help you know where you stand. Tony, of all the wild game that you pursue, where do pheasants rank for you?
Man. I mean, like you, Trav, I'm a generalist. I like to hunt. I hunt deer. I hunt waterfowl. I hunt turkeys. I hunt rough grouse. I've even, gone after an elk in Colorado last year for the first time. Bought points for Wyoming antelope for next year, and fingers crossed on that. Mm-hmm. Pheasants are the top, man. Pheasants are the top, and you know what? They're the top for me because of my last 2 days. So it's funny. I think you texted me on. I just did a 4-day South Dakota hunt, drove out Friday, drove to Platte, South Dakota, hunted around there. Then that night drove to Huron, stayed in Huron, hunted 2 days in Huron, and then hunted yesterday back in Platte, and then drove home. And you texted me on Saturday. You must have been good luck. Here's why. I had the crappiest day on Saturday. First of all, the winds were like 35 to 45 miles an hour.
Oh, they were brutal. They were nasty.
It was crazy.
They were terrible, yeah.
Yeah, birds were flying wild. Dogs were having a really hard time getting any scent. And this is a frustrating part of pheasant hunting, is we were crippling birds that we could not find.
Mm-hmm.
In large part because of the wind. Because first of all, you'd shoot them and they could keep flying so far in that wind. And then when they'd land and run, the dogs could not pick up a scent. And I had the only retriever. The other dogs are all pointers, and they're not super interested in chasing crippled birds like a retriever is.
Yep.
And then you text me, and you're like, hey, you want to come on the Flesh podcast? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll tell you about my worst ever hunting. Like, I was shooting terrible. My dog wasn't finding down birds. I was so mad at the end of Saturday. Oh my gosh. And then, dude, Sunday, 6-man limit. Monday, 4-man limit.
Wow.
It was 2 of the best pheasant hunting days of my life. On Sunday and Monday.
On public
land? It was
land?
incredible. Private land. And this is one thing. I do hunt public land, as I've already confessed, not particularly well. I want to tell you something I'm proud of, really proud of. I have never paid $1 to hunt private land. So I want to for upland hunters,
Mm-hmm.
I want to break this myth that you got to pay $250 per gun per day to get on a South Dakota farm. I get that's how it is for a lot of people, and a lot of farms you can't get on, pay to play.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other ways, and it's through relationships. And I know you've got them too. Yeah. It's through relationships. It's like you just said, well, it's my buddy's deer camp that I go to. You don't own it, but you have ownership in it as a friend, and I bet you help that guy on his land. I bet you go up there and you help clear shooting lanes, or right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I would, and I think this is appropriate for our conversation. I feel like it would be a sin for me to pay somebody to let me go hunt on their land. I couldn't do it. I've never done it either. I would rather just go walk public land. I just don't know. Like, it goes against, I don't know. It goes against everything that I feel like hunting stands for, or something along those lines. I remember in North Dakota one time, we asked permission to go duck hunt in this field, and the guy said I'd charge $100 a gun. And I walked back to the truck with the guy, and I had already instantly said, oh, thank you anyway. And I walked back, and I remember saying to the guys in the truck, I said, well, he charges $100 a gun. And one of them said, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, I guess I didn't even think about it as an option. Yeah. And we eventually just drove down the road and found a different spot, didn't do it. But I mean, I guess there's different mindsets on that, but I'm with you on that. I would never pay. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent now.
No, that's exactly what I'm going to say. I totally agree with you. And I think that through, you go to the next farm and you ask the next farmer, hey, I see some ducks in your slough. You care if we go try to jump those ducks? And then you're going to find a farmer that says, yeah. Or you're going to find a farmer who says, I'm sick of the pheasant eating all my corn. Go shoot them all, or whatever.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, I've never, no matter, it's happened to me in Minnesota as well. You go to church, to a small town church, and after church, you're sitting in the fellowship hall drinking coffee out of a styrofoam cup. Within 5 minutes, somebody's going to tell you, oh, hey, you can come hunt my cornfield today for pheasants. That's fine with me. You're going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, go when you go to a small town, like go to the Rotary luncheon if you're a Rotarian, or go to the church fellowship hall, or go to the Pheasants Forever banquet in that town, or whatever, and like build relationships with people, and they will welcome you onto their private land. And there's great public land in South Dakota too that I have also hunted. Like all of us carry steel, carry non-toxic load, because we're like, oh, let's jump on this crap land or whatever and switch out our ammo. But the last 4 days I hunted private, and it was incredible. Yes. I mean, you asked about bird numbers. Bird numbers are up. A buddy of mine, Larry, who's from the Twin Cities, but owns some land in Platte and Huron, with whom we hunt, he's had his farmers put in food plot. The food plots are gorgeous this year. So that goes along with bird numbers being up. Man, roosters were just popping left and right. And then for whatever reason, and you know how this goes too, I couldn't miss on Sunday and Monday. I couldn't miss. I couldn't hit on Friday and Saturday.
Those are the best days. At least it was that direction. So you ended on such a high note.
Yeah, it was incredible because yesterday we had a 4-man limit at 12:45. I mean, we started shooting at 10 and hit a piece of land. Another guy, Craig, and I both had our limits within the first hour. And then there were 2 other guys. And when we went to another field and they limited out after another hour. And, I mean, of course, I've heard, you go out to South Dakota and you hear these guys were like, oh, back in the day, we used to limit out before noon and we'd be back in the hotel room watching college football. And I'm like, I don't come to South Dakota to sit in hotel rooms and watch college football. Like, I want to hunt all day. So I don't really care if it takes me all day to shoot a limit. I'm fine with that. But this was really my first experience of like starting at 10 and I had a limit at 10:50 a.m. That's never happened to me before. So I think bird numbers are, it's like we're in the good old days maybe this year. And it was it was one of those days, Travis, it was like 45, 50 degrees, blue sky. The dogs were just working great. They were obviously working scent really well. I was shooting well. It's just, everything came together, it was just magical.
Well, and this year too, the moisture level is down so much, it's enjoyable. Even if you have to walk into cattails, a lot of them are just bone dry, so it's not miserable as it was last year. That region, and basically from like the eastern half of the Dakotas and then Minnesota and Iowa, I mean, it was so wet that it was almost miserable to try to go walk through some of those pieces. This year, from my personal experience, is that, gosh, I mean, I remember thinking, it's so nice to be out here right now. I am not wet. I don't have water up to my waist. I'm not forced to walk through these awful places to get where the birds are. I mean, it's a great year to be out pheasant hunting, bird hunting, and we're blessed because the numbers are up. You recently lost Albert, your dog. Tell me about Albert.
Man, Albert, I got Albert. I had a dog named Beaumont, and he was about 12 years old after when I was getting divorced in 2008, and I took him on a legacy hunt down to Caribou Gun Club so he could he went to Horse and Hunt Club, and we chased a couple pheasants, and then I had to put him down. And I was without a dog, and I was renting a house between houses. It was like I'd lost everything. My house got foreclosed on. My retirement savings got completely eaten up by divorce, and it was the worst. It was really the worst. And I had started dating a woman who lived in Dallas, and I told her about a dog I knew about at a breeder in Menominee who had been returned, and he was a year old. He'd been returned, somebody bought him from the litter, and then I don't know why it didn't work out. He returned this dog. So these guys had this dog, and they were selling him for $400. I didn't have $400 to spend on a dog, Travis. And Courtney, who's now my wife, she mailed me a check for $400, and she said, "You go buy Albert." He'd already been named, of course, because he was 1 year old. So I drove out to Menominee and to Barley Pop Kennels, and I gave him $400, and I came home with Albert. And he became my companion during this 10-year period where I really rebuilt my life. I mean, like I said, rock bottom, foreclosed on, lost my kids, et cetera, et cetera. 10 years later, happily married, own a house, have full custody of my kids, career's back on track and everything. And Albert was just with me through all of that. And he was an insane hunter. This dog had hunting drive. What do they call it? The prey drive, prey instinct,
yep.
or what? Yeah. He had that in a way you can't train. It was deep in his DNA. I mean, he was a dog who, if he thought there was a bird, if he thought there was a cripple down, he would not come back. You could shock him with the collar, blow the whistle. He would not come back till he had the bird in his mouth. And then I cannot tell you countless times he came back with birds that we had given up on, stuff like that. I could go on and on about this dog. And then he got lymphoma over last year during hunting season. He had it. Looking back now, the way he was behaving, it was clear that it had already started. But we had some great hunts last season. I drove him out to Oregon so he could duck hunt out there with my brother and me. And then right when COVID, was starting to hit, he just got sicker and sicker. And we had this incredible vets come over. It's called MN Pets and minnesotapets.com or mnpets.com, and they do in-home euthanasia. And, as a little blessing of COVID, my college kids were home and we got to say goodbye to Albert all together as a family in our backyard. And it was, it was like a chat. With his death, that was a chapter of my life coming to an end. And I have incredible memories of hunts with him. Thankfully, my wife's a photographer, and so I have incredible photos of hunts with him. And then, you got a puppy, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know when you have a young dog what they're gonna turn out to be, what's their personality, how they're gonna be. And I have this young dog, Crosby. Yeah, Crosby, who overlapped with Albert for last season of hunting. And he, as a younger dog does, he mainly just trailed Albert around the field. But man, this weekend, I told you about the experience with Aiden last year.
Yep.
So we had a little taste of it. But man, going into this season, I was really nervous. I was like, I don't know. Is he going to retrieve? Is he afraid of live birds? Because, in pheasant hunting, there's a lot of birds retrieved to hand that are still alive. And not every bird, I should say it differently. You shoot every bird dead, I'm sure. You shoot every bird in the head.
Cold. I've never missed, actually. Yeah. Yes.
You shoot every bird in the beak. They drop dead on the ground. I break a lot of wings.
We don't have enough time today for me to get into all my stories, especially ones from just 2 days ago. But anyway, keep going.
I break a lot of wings and drop a lot of legs on pheasants, And so it's great to have a retriever, a lab, because a lab, he's no pointer. He's obviously a flusher, although he does kind of point on occasion. But I just didn't know, is he really gonna dig down and find that bird that's crippled and has buried itself deep in the cattails under the snow? And man, this weekend, as the 4 days we were out there progressed, he got better and better as each day went on. Like he was getting it, he was getting it. This is what I'm out here for. And the praise you lavish upon a dog who makes a great retrieve or makes a great flush, that's obviously the reward they're looking for. I've always been told with a retriever, it's like you don't have to ever the retrieve is the reward. You don't have to reward a lab for retrieving a tennis ball or a bumper or a bird, because the retrieve is the reward. That's what they want to do. So if you let them do it, it's a self-rewarding type of behavior. And he did it this weekend. It was awesome. So I think you and I should get out there with our 2 dogs and let them hunt together.
Oh my goodness. And I was out, you were hunting in South Dakota. I was in Western Minnesota hunting as well. And You talked about you were worried about Crosby, and was Crosby going to live up to Albert's standards? And I feel like the people that I have met in my life, and the dogs that they have walking in front of them, so closely resemble the people themselves in that, you're putting that time in with Crosby. So that dog's going to hunt, right? That dog has been given, God gave it the gifts, the abilities. You're just there helping to shape and teach a little bit more. But I have no doubts that Crosby is going to be just as amazing in the field as Albert, because you're investing the time with the dog, doing something that dog is born to do. I was able to watch it happen for myself with Daisy this weekend too. I mean, we have been spending so much time together. The training, I mean, I've learned so much. I mean, my buddy George Lyle is a wealth of dog training knowledge, and he has been spending time with her. And then I have been spending time with her 3 times a day. We're out there, maybe more, but a minimum of 3 every day, just working on the obedience and come and hear, just like all of the commands, and her abilities are incredible. Her prey drive is incredible. And it all came together this weekend. And I can totally relate to what you experienced with Crosby out there, because I got to see it. The only problem was that that first time we there's 4 dogs in the field, and we're all hunting together, and Daisy's like, gosh, there's something over this way, and we just kind of veered off on our own and worked this little tiny mini draw, and we get to the end, and I'm like, she is on one. It's going to happen, just going to be beautiful. And like, this is what you wait for, all the training, it's going to be right here. It's going to be so perfect. And up comes this big, beautiful rooster, and I shoot it, and it sails down, and we can't find it. And it's just like, oh, no. And we looked forever, because I wanted to reward this dog so badly for her doing just, the best job, and I couldn't do it. And I was like, oh, honey, this is going to be the first of many times I disappoint you in life. But we did this together. This is you and I, and it's special. And from that moment on, the rest of the day she was just a machine. And it was awesome. Just such a joy to watch. And and in my back of my mind, because I've had some pretty bad experiences this fall already, and losing her in the Badlands, and, all kinds of other stuff that you don't wish would happen. And I'm thinking, everyone always says they just want to watch their dog. That's why they do this. They love watching the dog. And I'm like, that's a bunch of BS. But then Sunday, I'm out there in the field. I'm like, oh, this is what people talk about. Yeah. She was, working right in front of me, back and forth. She'd look at me. I'd give her a signal. She'd go there. It was just like we were this team, and it was so fun. And just, the birds she found. And I was just like, the other guys they could hear it in my voice. Like, wow, you're pretty excited, aren't you? I was like, hell yeah, man. This is why we're out here, right? But sorry, I can relate to.
That's awesome. It's actually super gratifying that you and I were having similar experiences, though separated by a few hundred miles, but basically doing the same thing. And I'll just tell you, just bring a retriever along next time if you want to find those down birds.
I know we did. We did.
They came over too, and
couldn't find.
And it was one of those moments where you have a split second, right? So I pull up, boom, hit the bird, it's going down, and in my mind I'm like, hit it again, because it had that look like it wasn't the shot, and for some reason I flinched, and then I didn't take it, and then it was low, and I didn't shoot, and I was like, why didn't I shoot again instantly? Just put it down for good.
Right.
And so I was so disappointed in myself. I mean, you don't get to take that back. I mean, it's a split second thing, and I normally make that decision right the first time, but that's
man, I mean, look, we lost, like I said, especially on that windy Saturday, we lost a lot of birds, and it's, you get in the truck at sunset, and it's really frustrating to be like, we feel bad ethically. It's bad. Like, we did everything we could. We didn't give up on any birds, but there's just, you have those days. And I think the dog, isn't it fun I think it's when a dog just gets a snoot full of pheasant scent and is rewarded with that flush, and you think then they get it. They're like, oh, that's what I'm here for. Like, that's the smell. I get to the point now where I can tell Crosby, like, nope, he's not on a bird scent right now. He's on a deer scent, and then all of a sudden he lifts his leg and takes a leak, and I'm like, yep, he never pees on a pheasant spot. He's peeing on a deer spot. Like, right?
Oh, it's
and
fun.
then
Well,
you just see his body posture change when he's hot on a pheasant, and it's absolutely the best. And I will just say that, like, one thing I've learned is, now this is my third lab, and he's got a different personality than the first two. And so he might not have quite the prey drive Albert had. He just isn't such a hard driving hunter. I mean, Albert would Albert came back to me one time and he had a 5-inch piece of skin hanging off his chest because he ran through barbed wire at, full speed. That's not the way Crosby hunts, but here is what Crosby does do that Albert, if I was in the duck blind with Albert, he would sit there whining and shaking with anticipation and excitement. Crosby is a very calm presence. So, like, yesterday I was blocking. I'm usually walking, not blocking, right? Because I have a flusher and etc. But yesterday I'd already shot my limit, so then I'm a blocker at the end of a food plot. And I brought Crosby out, and now it is our 4th day of hunting, so he's a little tired or whatever. And I brought him on heel, and he sat in complete silence and stillness at heel for 10, 15 minutes while these other guys were pushing this shelter belt and the food plot toward us. He didn't whine. He wasn't antsy. He didn't scare any roosters, So there's also, like, you pay attention. You're going to get to know Daisy better and better and be like, what kind of a dog is she? And then how do you best utilize her in hunting situations?
Tony, last question here. I know we could talk for hours, but we'll wrap it up here. And this is probably a pretty deep question, or maybe it's hard to answer easily. But what advice do you have for someone that might be searching for something greater in life, or looking for a personal relationship with God? I mean, that's what you do, right? So what advice do you have for somebody that's searching?
Well, yeah, that's a big one, Trav.
Yeah.
I think what I'd say, I mean, here's what I tell my kids. All right. Pay attention. Like, pay attention to the world around you. Pay attention to the people around you. Pay attention to the natural world around you. It's even like what you're talking about. You feeling connected. I think, a lot of us were brought up being taught that the most significant kind of perspective for a human being is the vertical. Like, you're always looking up toward God, metaphorically looking up toward God, looking up toward the heavens. It's that vertical relationship. That's what matters. Get yourself right with the Lord, that kind of thing. I think we've done that at the expense of the horizontal. So I think your relationship with Daisy is a horizontal relationship. You are building a bond with another living creature that's at your level, right? And you are going to be connected to her in ways just through, losing her in the Badlands to watching her really get it and have the light bulb go on that flush the other day. You're doing the same thing with your spouse. You're doing the same thing with your kids. I know your backstory because you told it on my podcast. You're building and rebuilding relationships in your family, broken relationships that are healing. And I'm trying to get my own kids to pay attention to that. They have a difficult relationship with their own mother as a result of the stuff we all went through as a family. They're working on that relationship and figuring out what it means for them going forward. Honestly, a big thing for all of us is to step away from the computer, put down the phone, and focus on the people and the other living creatures around us. So I'd say for people who are looking for meaning and connection to the divine, connection to God, that can come through the vertical. You can get that. You read your Bible, or you pray, or you go to your house of worship, whatever that may be. But I'd say don't neglect the horizontal, those relationships around you with other people and just with all of creation. Those are all part of the divine. Those are all given to us by God. And so that's I think a lot of us, especially you said it's election day when we're recording this. These are turbulent times. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are really lonely because of COVID and because they're not able to see a lot of their loved ones. All the more reason for us to really pay attention to the people around us and to all of creation around us.
Can I also add too that one thing that when we pray with my kids, we always end it with, Jesus, help us love others the way that you love us. Mm-hmm. And I go back to that all the time. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like this world that we're in, man, there's a lot to it. But if we can just love others the way that Jesus loves us, I feel like we'd all be in a lot better place.
Well, I think part of that, and what you're even implicitly what you're reminding your kids is that they themselves are lovable. They are always loved by you, by God, and there are a lot of people in our world who struggle to feel that they themselves are lovable. So, if you've got something to give, if you're feeling some strength and you got something to give, share that with other people, including, I'm guessing, for the kind of people who listen to this podcast, take somebody hunting. You spend a weekend with somebody, you spend a day with somebody. It's going to bring joy to them that a lot of people are struggling to find right now.
I can fully agree with that. There's very few places like spending time hunting or fishing or just at deer camp or pheasant camp with another person. It allows for you to have a positive effect on their life. It allows for you to be positively affected by other people around you. And it's a great place. It's a great place to be. We'll end it on that today. Tony, appreciate you taking the time. If people want to listen to your podcast, they're fantastic. You go deep diving with a lot of people in this world, and their backgrounds are very, very different,
diverse,
stories. Right. Just some of the people that you meet and interact with. You do a great job conversing with them and getting them to share their stories, and it makes a big difference for your listeners, for all of us. It's a heck of a mission that you're on, my friend, and I support you, and I'm glad that you just had an incredible hunt in South Dakota. We should do this again. I know we've got a lot more. I had a bunch of notes written down. I wanted to get into some other topics. We just didn't, and my producer is probably staring at the computer like, oh my gosh, wrap this up. So I'll do it right now. Once again, thank you to North Dakota Tourism for helping us to make this show possible. To bag your limit in North Dakota this fall or any season, visit legendarynd.com. And don't forget to download the Onyx Hunt app to help you plan your hunting adventures and find those pieces of property that are open to the public and jam-packed full of wild birds. Current episodes are airing right now on the Outdoor Channel, the Flush television show. You can catch the action every week, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday from now until the end of December. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Flush Podcast.